morning. Welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Happy Sunday to everybody. This is the weekend update. This is currently where we are with Bitcoin. Bitcoin came down to, I believe, close to 61,800, and it is bouncing now. It's up near to 62,714. So let's go over to a word of the day. Our word of the day is dramaturgy. Dramaturgy is our word of the day, the theory and practice of dramatic composition. Modern dramaturgy is very different from classical theater traditions in style and composition. If you're at all worried about hard landing as things go higher and higher here in the market, you may want to look at something like this. Only goes up when the market goes up, does not come down when the market goes down like index investing does. Beats index investing by about 5% per year. You can see the gap just keeps widening and widening. And currently they're offering 10% to much higher bonuses. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to reach out to me. So let us go over to our PowerPoint presentation. All we have to say is that with the debt just keep going higher and higher, you may want to think of some investing where tax will not be a part of it. And if you'd like to learn more about that, we do have several options. We'll take a look. We may take a look at that a little later. This is from Sticky Trades, kind of tells you what kind of candle, the divergence from the moving averages, stochastic, CCI, and roll reversal, and also gaps, which we continually talk about. Here's some of the variations of the candles. This is a bullish engulfing. This is in not quite an inverted hammer pattern. This is a doji telling you there may be a change afoot, and this is a bearish engulfing. This is a doji right over here, two dojis in a row. And this is a bearish engulfing 3 days of candles. So that is a little precursor to be where we get in here. This is Bitcoin. AJ Monty had put on a price target right here, which it hit last week. We'll just see it is moving up a little higher right now. So we'll see if it has hit bottom as it came down to the moving averages. This is a doji right here, followed by another doji and a bullish engulfing pattern, which engulfed those two previous days. Now we move on to the Dow Jones. What do we got here? We got a hanging man. Hanging man is bearish. We go back in time and look at another hanging man. I believe, well, this is a falling star here. And we got a hanging man here, and the market pulled back to the moving averages. October is always one of the worst months of the year. You can see this is a Dow Jones Industrial Average. Kind of think it's going to weave its way back and forth. But this is a hanging man here, as we can see. And this is target down here. And I'll bring up those targets. So the target on the Dow Jones is 411.32. And currently it looks like we're pretty close to 421.41. It may go up a little bit here before it pulls back to that target. Moving on, we're going to take a look at the monthly. Monthly, it's got a hanging man. Looks like we got a doji right before it. and hanging man. What has happened before? Got a hanging man. Hanging man means it's up in the morning, down in the morning, and closes at the high for the day. Uh, so we got a hanging man over here, pull back. We got a hanging man right over here. It did go up for a while and then pull back. So that doesn't come immediately, but it is a warning sign, definitely. Here's the IWM. Got a hanging man here on the IWM. Could possibly look like a doji as well. We may need more information. It rose for the moving average in the middle of the day, pulled back, and then closed near its high for the day. Let's take a look at the monthly. Got a hanging man here, and the previous month we did as well. We got a kind of bearish on the volume, very low volume, and it is bearish. And we're heading down on the stochastics, and we're heading down in the CCI. Moving on to the, I guess we got a couple of those in there. Moving on to the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ definitely has got a hanging man right here as it popped up in the morning, sold off, and then closed near its high. So we got a battle between the bulls and the bears. It was down slightly, so it's got a bearish volume here. It is, we've got a moving up on both of the stochastics and the CCI, so that is slightly bullish. So we'll have to continue to watch those. And here is a monthly. We've got a hanging man on the monthly, higher move above the moving averages. We've got a bear signal on the volume, and it looks like we got a crossover to lower volume on stochastics, and it looks like on the CCI it's starting to turn as well. So those are all bearish signals on the monthly. Moving on to the S&P 500. Got a hanging man here. I think this is going to be much like the Dow Jones, the moving average for a while. We did not give the targets for IWM is 211.88. The NASDAQ is 464.86. And the S&P 500 is 555.58. Take a look at this is the monthly. Look at this. We got 3 hanging men in a row. Got a doji over here signaling a change, maybe afoot. And we'll just have to wait and see. This would be bearish. The volume is bearish. Looks like we're getting it, possibly getting a turn up here on the stochastics. And we've headed lower on this moving average. So those are all kind of in the bearish category. We're a pretty wide divergence from the moving average. So that is a number of bearish signals to look at. Moving on to the VIX. The VIX, so the VIX had an A here, B to C to D. Now, if you start afresh here, you can take a look at this A to B to C, and this would be to D. If it goes up here, the S&P 500 most definitely would be rotating downward. You've got a hook on the stochastic, so it's a possibility that this could be signaling a change, pulling down further here, like we got on the chart, and the same on the commodity channel index. I think it's possibly could come down here where the S&P goes a little higher, and then it rotates, get to our 2688 target. So that's the VIX. And here's our monthly look at the VIX. We got a doji right over here. This looks like an inverted hammer followed by another inverted hammer and possibly another inverted hammer on the monthly. Here's our long-term target, which is 41.88, which we did hit over here when it went up to the 60s. So everything is currently heading down, so we may pull back a little bit to the moving average before we head up on the VIX. So Mayorkas warns FEMA doesn't have enough funding to last through the hurricane season. Where did all that money go? We'll just take a look and kind of see where that money went. Welfare use based on legal status of household, head of household. So this is citizens, this is legal immigrants coming in, and just can take a look at the spike. Legal immigrants storming the border. On a cash basis for food, and just look at all of this money being spent, Medicaid, and housing. Doesn't have airplane tickets where they're flying them all over the country. The fiscal burden of illegal aliens on U.S. taxpayers. $150 billion it's costing. How the migrant crisis drained $150 billion from taxpayers in a single year. U.S. national debt is nearing $36 trillion. All that money funding to the wars overseas, migrant crisis. We are in a mess, big old mess here. And if you think taxes are going down, maybe in for a surprise. That is why I said at the top of the show, you may want to think about putting your money into areas where you will not be taxed. So this is a look at, this is why we're very suspicious of the employment numbers that came out last week. The civilian labor force participation rate, seasonally adjusted, is heading downward. So in many ways, I think this is being manipulated by the current administration. Now, Israel and the US says there is no damage done by the bombing from Iran. Well, these are hypersonic systems. Catch them if you can. This is from the Iran military. And this looks like there is some damage over there. So you need to dig deeper from the news that you're being fed. The United States and Israel are discussing the option of striking Iran's oil infrastructure in the Persian Gulf. According to Bloomberg, and if they do this, there's a big potential not a drop of oil will leave the Middle East anymore, causing a massive oil shortage in Europe, and it could result in a huge spike in the oil pricing. So these are all things that are at risk to our economy. Moving on, just want to take a look at some of the equities that are trending. I'm going to pause a second. Here we go. The chart come up. We'll go to our blue dot screen. Barnes. The Barnes Group manufacture aerospace and industrial components for transportation manufacturing industry. Big gap up. What's our gap rule? Our gap up rule, as long as it doesn't undercut the low of the gap, it's safe to continue to hold. We can go take a look at one of the companies that we're currently holding. Kind of fits that pattern. This is Oracle. This is a gap up. It never violated this gap up, and it continues up. It's getting close to the profit zone. So let's go back to our chart, our area of the blue dot. Site centers, big gap up. It did undercut here, but as you can see, it did pop back up again. I'm not sure what you want to do with that, but danger there is on this gap up, it gap up all the way here and then closed at its low. So that's one danger side and you want to look at. This is kind of a shooting star candle, kind of forewarns you that it may undercut. Got a call coming in. We're going to just pause for a second. Well, we are back. So that is with site centers. Janet Henderson Group, UK-based company, investment advisory. Don't have a double bottom, but we do have a flat base here. Got a nice volume, nice price move anyway, and the volume was pretty good as well. Got right up here, pretty close to the average, up 5%. You'd like to see a little more than that. It's not quite in the pivot zone. So that is one you definitely can put on your watch list. Texas Pacific Land. Some ways this is like a do nothing base, but it is kind of a flat consolidation. And right at 881.22 would have been the buy point. It may have tested it right back here, and now it is off. It looks like it wants to get up to 1,000. So that is Texas Pacific Land. Seagate Technology, working on a cup with a handle base. 110.41 would be the buy point in the pivot. We'll just kind of see what kind of handle it is on low volume on the pullback. So that is bullish in nature. I'll just continue to watch that one. So, Chinese internet portal offering media content, wireless web search. Looks like it is in the pivot zone near the top of the range. Was up 1% on Friday. Got a lot of blue bars over here. The volume is decreasing, but seem to be getting a lot of good volume there. Has prior uptrend, pulling back, and just kind of like what you'd like to see. Vertex in the tax compliance, corporate tax processing software, consulting services. And then getting a little bit of buying over here. You can see the buying increased here. Did pull back a little bit on Friday. Got 2.69% increase in volume. That's one thing to concern yourself. Just kind of wait and see what it does on Monday. Great Lake Dredge. Looks like it's getting into the profit zone. So right over here, you did see, look at all these blue bars over here. They're all above the red bars. It's a little too stretched at the moment. Longboard Pharmaceuticals, working on a base. This is a flat base. Got some institutional ants over here buying into this. They usually buy at the top, it seems like. So it does pull back. Got a double bottom here. Kind of an ugly double bottom, doesn't really have a peak. 38.81 seems to be the high, so it would have to be 38.91 on the buy point. That's something to keep on your watch list. Artiva Biotherapeutics, working on looks like a IPO base. It's pretty close to the pit. Develops natural killer cell-based therapies for patients suffering with autoimmune diseases and cancers. Just needs to get the volume over here. Another company that seems to be getting buying. A lot of blue bars here. It's come up to the pivot, pull back to the 20-day moving average, and it continues to stay in the pivot. E plus provides information technology. It's like maybe an ascending base here. Yeah, an ascending base. This is base on base and the ascending base. See if it can pop up and get to the pivot zone. Yeah, I would say it needs to get early buy if it kind of clears this on good volume. The volume was a little low. Rush Street Interactive. This is the cup with the handle, almost looks like a base on a base. It's getting pretty close to the pivot. Just needs to get some good volume. Look at these earnings estimate 186%, followed by 157%. Internet, casinos, sports, and other related services through an omni-channel program. KE Holdings, Chinese provider of online and offline platform for housing transactions and services. Came up here, 2048, and a pretty strong pullback. Looks like we got a double bottom here with 1613 be the middle of the base. And when it popped up here, that would be the buy point. Has several gaps here in a row. Gap here, and a big gap here. And it is in the profit zone right now, so it's a little extended. I'd wait for a pullback on that one. ARS Pharmaceuticals, working on a cup with a handle base. Kind of negative earnings over here, so that's something to watch out on. Golar LNG. Looks like it's just moved out of the base. Provides marine transportation for liquefied natural gas. Had been a leader before. Most of the selling volume has been lower. That's positive. Just kind of put that on your watch list. Trip.com. Looks like it got into the profit zone and pulled back a little bit as people sold. That's a little extended. Zebra Technologies. Looks like it's working on a cup with a handle base here. Here it's handling out. And it's a potential to move higher into the pivot. That's another one you could put on your watch list. So that's our show for today. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Hope everybody has a great day, and we'll catch you up here on